basketball team down in the Virgin Islands, and it was a very productive trip for us. And you know, we're in a mind frame now of trying to get better and move forward. There's certainly a lot of things that we need to improve upon, and we're looking forward to an opportunity tomorrow against a good Northern Kentucky team that I'm sure will be coming in fired up to get a victory. And so we'll try to practice hard this evening and see if we can make some progress. But glad to be back in Lexington.
Matthew, what did you learn in the trip?
Well, we didn't play with very much intensity or enthusiasm on Thursday night against Illinois, and it was a great lesson for us to learn what our identity has to be. And so, you know, we are a team that has to come out and work really hard every single possession and play with tremendous intensity. And we were able to watch that film the next day and then sort of make a mental change for the Oklahoma game and the South Florida game. So it was good to see the team able to make that adjustment, and you know, hopefully it was a great wake-up call for us, that loss that we absorbed down there.
What Michaela's been playing, especially on that trip, what have you seen from her? She kind of made that sophomore jump that you expected.
Well, she's incredibly talented player, and we are very fortunate that she's playing at Kentucky. She's very athletic and very strong, and it's just hard for people to guard her. She can get to the bucket and really make some things happen. She is improving tremendously on the defensive end, which has been really remarkable. Her progress as a defender has been remarkable, and so she's given us a lot in a lot of different areas. She can rebound the ball. She can guard multiple positions. She can play multiple positions on offense. She's a big key to what's happening for us right now, and she still has some room for improvement, which is also good news for us. But just playing well and playing with a lot of enthusiasm and energy, and that's what, you know, this team needs. We have to play with tremendous enthusiasm and tremendous energy and tenacity every time we take the floor, and she's sort of embodying all that right now.
You surprised how much she's improved?
I'm really pleased that she decided to put in the effort that she needed to put in to improve. I don't know if surprise would be the right word. When she showed up here, you know, she was more talented than I'd even imagined. She's incredibly talented player, and now she is starting to mentally take an approach that's going to allow her to be her best. And when she becomes her best, she'll be one of the best players in the country, I believe. She's very gifted, and just happy that she made a decision to get in great shape. She's in great shape. She's in great shape and never was last season. And, you know, she played major minutes and did not seem affected by it at all, which was really a testament to how hard she's worked. So I'm really happy that she's playing well, and happy for her that she's made some of the decisions that have allowed her to start realizing some of her potential.
Matthew, tell us what it is you know about Northern Kentucky at this point.
Well, they've played a good schedule, and they're very well coached, and the impression I get is they play really hard and they get after you, and you know, I expect for them to be very energetic coming to Kentucky. It's a big game against an in-state school, and I'm sure their team will be very excited. And if they watch the Illinois film or the Central Michigan film, you know, there's times in our performances when we don't play with enthusiasm and energy, where we're a very vulnerable team. So I would expect a really strong test from them tomorrow night.
You guys have a height length advantage on them. Talk about having that advantage.
Well, you need to make those work for you. That's what I tell our team all the time. You know, we are an athletic and fast team, but if you don't put that into if you don't make that an advantage in the game, you're going to suffer. So we need it for it to be very up tempo. We need to try to harass them for 40 minutes and try to make it real difficult and make it a real tough night on them, because that's our formula and that's how we'll be successful.
Is there a stat that you sort of look at to determine how hard they're playing, or defensively if they're doing the things you need them to do?
Well, you know, that's what we tried to make the South Florida game about, and what I think is a big stat is rebounding. Sort of speaks to South Florida was a great, or in that tournament they were really dominating on the glass. I talked to Sherry Cole. We played the second night, and so South Florida had beaten them the night before, and we'd lost to Illinois. And she was commented how aggressive they were on the glass and how tough they were. So we tried to make that game with very little preparation time about rebounding, and I was so happy that we won the rebounding battle by 6 in that game, and that spoke to how hard they're playing. I think for us a lot of times it's deflections and it's turnovers created if a team really passes the ball. We didn't turn South Florida over much because they had one player sort of dominate the ball, and she just would dribble and shoot. And so she missed 17 shots, which kind of made our turnovers forced down in that one. But, you know, turnovers forced is a stat that we try to look at. But for me, it's more the eye test. It's more out there watching to see how quickly we're picking up the ball, how quickly we're engaging our defense, how much energy we have in our feet. Those kind of things are really important for us, and so it's not always just statistical.
I'm sure, Matthew, you probably trade the weather for the Virgin Islands, but is it good in some ways to be back home, be back in front of the home crowd tomorrow night? Is that good for them after 3 straight games?
Yeah, I tell you, we put the team in a tough spot. First 7 games were really, really difficult, where we just once we closed down preseason practice, we first 7 games we just didn't have a lot of practice time, and so this team needs it. We took yesterday off, so just one practice before Northern Kentucky, and then hopefully we can get a couple more good ones in this week. But over the next 2.5 weeks, as we lead up to Christmas break, we really need to take advantage of our time on the court and practice and take some steps forward as a team. But we're happy to be back, but really grateful for what we learned on that trip, and then it was a great experience for our players. They really had a great time, and that was a very nice trip to be able to go on, and I know the players enjoyed it. But we're happy to be home.
Sort of a concern for you, kind of like you were behind South Florida so much, and then Illinois game said didn't play a little while. Is that kind of a concern for you for this team, or is it you chalk that up to the early season test?
Well, I was very concerned about the Illinois game just because they play such an unorthodox defense, and the progression of our team at that point in the season. I knew that was going to be a very difficult game, and so we didn't play real, as hard as we needed to, and so I was concerned. You had two more games, and you could have lost all of them because they were against quality opponents. So I knew going in that was we'd put the team in a difficult position, and so I was thrilled with getting out of there with 2 out of the 3, and it really worked out nicely too to have a humbling and learning experience, and then bounce back with a couple of victories where we still are not executing the way we need to and the way we're capable of and the way that we will. I think in a month, I think we'll be much better than we were down there, but they did play with some tremendous heart and energy, and the Oklahoma game looked very dire, down 8 with 1:20 left. It didn't look too good, and finding a way to win. So many more positives came out of the trip than challenges. And so, I'm not concerned about what the team's capable of. I'm just concerned every day as a coach, you have to find a way to create an atmosphere in practice where they understand what their identity has to be, and they need to practice that way and need to play that way. So that's my job, to make sure that happens.
You said, I think twice, we're vulnerable. What are you vulnerable to or from? Like, what are the things that concern you?
Well, just the way that we need to defend to compete at the highest level. So, I mean, we could do some different things and beat some teams on our schedule, and be an okay team in a different manner. But we're trying to be the very best in the country, and we're trying to be the best that this team can be. And so, you have to have a combination of tremendous physical intensity, but then tremendous mental focus as well. And that's just that's a daily thing that sometimes young people struggle with, and so we're vulnerable on nights when we don't come out really laser focused on what we need to do to be successful together mentally. And then if you have a night where you're just not hustling, and then people can exploit you. So in our defense, we're clearly trying to impact the ball handler, and we're trying to deny passes and disrupt. So sometimes if you're not paying attention and you get really spread out, and the person on the ball is not guarding the ball well, people are driving and shooting layups. That's what happened in the Illinois game. We just were not mentally focused that night, and sort of playing individual defense, and our defense has to work together as a team. And so we're vulnerable when we don't do that, and when we don't push the basketball and transition offensively and use our depth and our speed, and then we sort of become ordinary. There are some times where when we really are committed to running, the team can score, and we're pretty extraordinary because we can get it in and run back and answer very quickly, while the teams kind of think the opponent thinks they can catch their breath. We need to be the kind of team that will not allow them to do that. So, if we don't play to our identity, we're vulnerable.
It seems just in watching the first 7 or whatever it is games that Michaela and Renee have sort of become almost the personality of the team, or
Yeah.
I mean, the two sophomores, I mean, what do they do together, and how do they sort of define that?
Well, they have a zest for life that is infectious. I mean, it really is. They are the kids that are, Michaela and I probably cut up more than anybody on the bus rides to and from the games and having fun. And so we just they're kids that enjoy living, and they're not moping around, and they're just energetic, enthusiastic personalities. And we really need that on this team, because we need to be energetic and enthusiastic as a basketball team. So they do. They bring that to the team, and we desperately need that. And so a player like Janae, who's very focused and very businesslike, and we need that too from a point guard standpoint. I mean, she kind of keeps it all together and is sort of the steady hand, but you can't have too much of that too, or then the energy's a little we don't have enough sparks flying. So we need some sparks flying on this team, and Michaela and Lene keep that going, and that's good for us. And then they make dynamic plays, and that gets the crowd going. And so their personality is very important to the team, and both of them just need to stay rock solid in their belief of improving as defenders, because when they become top-level defenders, then they become absolutely top-level players, and they have to keep that on their mind, and I have to, as their coach, help them stay there. But I love their enthusiasm for the game. You know, when we were going into overtime with Oklahoma, Michaela was the one on the bench saying, hey, this is a heck of a lineup we have here on this bench. We're going to go out here and win this game, and very vocal, very verbal, and you know, it's important. It's good.
Is it fair to say that the team takes on the personality of the coach?
It's not fair to say because they don't take it on nearly enough. They on the court we're too laid back at times, and you know, I want them out there like some fighters, and you know, just with that killer instinct and going at it. And we need to progress along those lines. But you know, off the court, it's a long year, and we spend a lot of time together, and there needs to be a lot of joy and a lot of fun because we're all so fortunate to be at a place like Kentucky. So off the court, maybe they take on the personality a little bit, but we need to work on our personality on the court because really in reality, we've been very inconsistent so far. We've had good halves and bad halves, and we just have to get to a spot where we can level out and we can know what we're going to bring every game. And hopefully tomorrow we can be a very consistent team for two halves.
You seem pretty concerned about defense going into that tournament, your identity defensively. Did you answer some questions, or do you still have a lot of questions?
No, I thought the South Florida game was great for us because we had a game plan that was we just didn't play totally to the system. We made some adjustments because they had two very explosive drivers, and so I thought it was a great 40 minutes holding them to 57 points and really neutralizing their offense. Was outstanding for us, and I think it showed the team that in tough times, if the offense is not clicking or if things are not going great, that we can hang our hat on our defense and rely on our defense if they focus. So they were focused Saturday night, and it was the third game in 3 days. We tipped off after 10 o'clock at night. We didn't get done till almost 1 in the morning. So if you could focus in and hustle during that time, I think that shows you what you're capable of. So I am concerned about defense because I think I'll always need to be, because we don't have a real margin for error. We don't have a big shot blocker that can clean up mistakes. We don't have a big, long, lengthy zone that we can put in. We have to disrupt you with ball pressure and with quickness and with attitude. And so, you know, that's just how we're built, and that's what we'll have to be. So defense is something we'll always be very concerned about and spend a lot of time on.
I know you only focused on Northern Kentucky, but have you heard any thoughts about this week kind of being all Kentucky-based basketball and football? I think you've got the Louisville on Sunday.
Yeah, you know what? We just we got back from a really long trip, and the kids had to play real hard, and the travel was not easy. We suffered a long delay going down and missed out on some practice time, and played like I said, a real late game. So we traveled all day back Sunday and got back very late Sunday night. So I gave them yesterday off, and then we didn't practice this morning, just trying to help them recover a little bit. So I haven't heard them talking about much so far, but what we did say before we left the airport Sunday night is that we have to take advantage of our practice time, and we have to be very focused this week, getting ready for Northern Kentucky, and then the practices leading up to Louisville, and then we've got some time in between Louisville and Middle Tennessee that we're really looking forward to trying to take advantage of that practice time, and then hopefully during exam week we can practice some, getting ready to close out this first semester of games. So the practice time is going to be important, and I'm confident that they understand what they need to do each and every day to take advantage of their opportunities.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot.